Discover the miraculous healing power of Yogananda's sacred prayer, 3 Divine Steps to Deliverance. In the quaint village of Ashford, where the old stone church stood bathed in the golden light of Sunday morning, life thrummed with a palpable spirit. The ivy-clad walls echoed with the resonant harmonies of hymns, lifting hearts towards the heavens. But on this day, the air hung heavy with unease. Thomas, a devoted husband and father, walked through those church doors, a spark of hope clinging desperately to his heart. His beloved wife, Sarah, lay in a hospital bed, her laughter muted by a diagnosis that felt like a thunderclap, a dark cloud blotting out the sunny days of their lives. As he approached the altar, he recalled the lilies Sarah once tended, a symbol of purity, hope, and love. They spoke as if whispering to him, urging him to believe in miracles. With every prayer offered by the congregation, Thomas felt a flicker of hope, like a candle wavering against a fierce wind. He wanted to believe, yet doubt gnawed at him, threatening to extinguish that fragile flame. Days turned into weeks, each moment by Sarah's side heavy with unspoken fears. But then, amidst the murmur of his inner turmoil, he stumbled upon the writings of Yogananda. The title jumped out at him, radiant as a beacon, 3 Divine Steps to Deliverance. Each word resonated deep within him, promising a method to seek divine intervention. What if this was his answer? Taking a leap of faith, he immersed himself in Yogananda's teachings, each step igniting an ember of belief that grew brighter within him. As he ventured deeper, he discovered the first step: surrender your worries. With each whispered invocation, he transformed anxiety into solemn prayer, filling the hospital room with the essence of hope itself. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With newfound strength, Thomas organized a communal prayer night at the church. As he walked through the village, he felt the warm embrace of community. Friends and neighbors rallied, their concerned faces transformed into expressions of unwavering faith. The pews filled that night, voices rising in a chorus of hope, creating a sound that vibrated on the very walls of the sacred space. And then it happened. Just as the air grew thick with expectation, in a moment both electric and serene, Sarah stirred. A gasp escaped the lips of those gathered as a divine light enveloped her figure, standing testament to the miracle unfolding. The doubts, the fears, everything fell away, leaving sheer awe in its wake. Was this the Father's quiet prayers, the love of a community, or a direct touch from the heavens above? Yet, with the light came an urgent question that distressed Thomas's heart. Was this simply a fleeting glimpse of divine grace, or was it a beckoning to something altogether greater, still unknown? As the candlelight danced, illuminating the faces of the faithful, he knew his journey was only at its beginning, an invitation to embrace the grand mystery of faith that lay ahead. Would they uncover its depths together? As the vibrant prayer night drew to a close, a hush descended upon the gathering. Thomas could feel the collective breath, anticipation woven with reverence as he stood before the congregation, his heart ablaze with gratitude. Around him, the faces of the villagers glowed, each shining with a reflection of the divine moment they had just witnessed. Yet within him lingered questions, a restless stirring of uncharted territory where faith and uncertainty intertwined. Lord, what are you asking of us? Thomas whispered into the stillness, his voice barely audible over the echoing silence that enveloped the room. In the depths of his soul, he sensed a call, a desire for movement forward, not just for himself and Sarah but for everyone present. Days slipped by like water through fingers. Sarah, despite the miracle of that night, remained fragile. Each day brought new struggles, the light that had illuminated their darkest hour now casting shadows of vulnerability. Thomas would sit at her bedside, holding her hand as she drifted in and out of sleep. In these moments of stillness, he remembered the second step from Yogananda's teachings, faith in the divine will. He began to pray differently. No longer just hopeful, Thomas felt the need to align his heart with God's will. Every breath he took filled the room with prayers of acceptance and stronger resolve. Lord, I trust in your plan, he would say, surrendering the very essence of his fears and desires. He realized that embracing faith meant opening himself to whatever God's purpose might be, not merely what he envisioned it to be. One evening, as the setting sun painted the sky with hues of lavender and gold, capturing the spirit of tranquility, Thomas felt a gentle nudge in his heart to reach out to others who might be suffering. It was more than a personal call, it was an invitation to become a vessel of compassion and love in his community. How many, he wondered, were carrying burdens they dared not speak? That Saturday, Thomas announced that he would host a healing circle at the church, inviting anyone bearing sorrow, be it physical or emotional. The thought both thrilled and terrified him. What if no one came? Or worse, what if he failed to bring about healing for others, for he still felt unqualified, merely a man with a flickering candle of faith. Yet, as the days passed, a sense of peace washed over him, confirming he was meant to lead this gathering. The night of the healing circle arrived, bringing with it a unique energy. The church felt alive, filled with new faces lighting flickering hope. As the villagers took their places, Thomas caught sight of Mrs. Evans, who lost her husband last year, and young Jonah, battling illness with a brave smile. All were united in their shared yearning for peace and healing. With each spoken word, his heart beat steadily with purpose. They sat together in a circle, hands linked, a tapestry of love woven tightly. Thomas began to share Yogananda's teachings, infusing each verse with warmth and welcoming vulnerability. He encouraged everyone to release their burdens, to trust in God's infinite wisdom and compassion. As prayers were whispered softly and tears mingled with laughter, something magical happened. He could feel a palpable shift and exchange of light and grace flowing through this sacred assembly. Tears of healing began to flow, replacing the shadows that once dwelled in their hearts. But amidst this blissful moment, another question surfaced in Thomas's heart. Were they not only witnesses to miracles but participants in a grand tapestry of divine healing? What lay ahead for them now, as they ventured deeper into the mystery of faith and devotion? With each gathering, Thomas felt the stirring of a magnificent purpose budding forth. Little did he know, the answers would leap forward in the most unexpected of ways. As dawn broke over the village, the golden rays filtered through Thomas's window, casting an illuminating glow on the floorboards. He awoke with renewed anticipation, the echoes of prayer still resonating in his heart. A warmth surged through him, an electric hum whispering of possibilities yet to unfold. Lord, guide us today, he prayed softly, his hands clasped together in earnest surrender. He felt the weight of his responsibility press against him, but within that weight was also a buoyant hope. Every step he took felt charged with a divine purpose, propelling him toward a greater understanding of his role in their collective healing. Later that morning, as he prepared for the second healing circle, a sense of expectancy enveloped him. It was as if the very air thrummed with energy, hinting at something miraculous on the horizon. He busied himself collecting candles and flowers, hoping to create a space that radiated warmth and peace. When the time came, villagers streamed into the church, their faces bright with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. Each one carried their own load of pain, grief, illness, loneliness, and yet, in the presence of shared suffering, they found solace. It struck Thomas how amazing it was that healing wasn't just individual but a communal journey of love and support. As they formed the circle, he sensed the heaviness that clung to some, like an anchor weighing them down. With deep compassion, he spoke about the power of vulnerability, the importance of sharing their stories. Heartfelt confessions began to spill forth. Mrs. Evans shared the unbearable weight of her loss, while Jonah bravely spoke of his dreams despite his illness. Each word released some of the burdens tied to their hearts. Before long, the atmosphere shifted once again. Thomas held the group in prayer, his voice steady and firm. God is in our midst, he declared, and together we become instruments of his peace. His words hung in the air, wrapping around the congregation like a warm embrace. There was a collective inhale, a moment of recognition that this was a safe haven, a sacred space for healing. Then, in the midst of the prayers, he caught something, a flicker of light reflected in Jonah's eyes, a glimmer suggesting that hope was stirring. I felt something, Jonah said suddenly, his voice a quiver of disbelief and childlike wonder. Like warmth, all over. The room held its breath, astonished. Was it possible? Thomas felt a wave of gratitude surge within him, mixing with the very essence of their shared experience. Could the divine presence they sought truly be manifesting before them? In that moment, Thomas understood. They were not just participants in a ritual, they were powerful co-creators of healing, empowered by their faith. Echoing Yogananda's wisdom, he encouraged them to open their hearts fully. Reach out to one another in prayer, he urged. Let your love flow without reservation. As hands touched and voices lifted, the air vibrated with prayerful energy. Tears of joy and relief streamed down faces, each person transformed by an unfolding miracle. A palpable shift swept through the circle, an overwhelming sense of community, healing dances of light weaving through their midst. But then, Thomas heard a whisper in his soul, a question that echoed louder than any of the joyous laughter around him. What does it mean to hold this sacred power? He pondered. Embracing the unknown stirred deep within him, both thrilling and daunting. As the evening waned, Thomas recognized that their journey was only just beginning. With each passing gathering, he felt the anticipation for what was to come, unseen threads of divine purpose weaving together. Could they truly embrace the divine call to heal not just themselves, but the world around them? With hearts united and spirits ignited, they were on the brink of greater revelations. The path ahead shimmered with mystery, beckoning them onward. What would they discover next in their growing tapestry of faith? As the moon cast silver light over the village, Thomas couldn't shake the profound sense of divine urgency. Clarity washed over him, heavy yet uplifting, urging him deeper into the mystery unfolding around him. Each flicker of candlelight seemed to pulse, a reminder of the sacred energy they had ignited together. The village was transitioning from day to night, and Thomas felt a yearning for another gathering. He could scarcely contain the excitement that built within him. His mind raced with thoughts of Jonah's luminous eyes, the tangible warmth that had filled the room, and the way their hearts had synchronized in vulnerability. Healing was very much alive in this space they were living, proof of it. In the quiet of his room, he turned to his worn Bible, praying for guidance. Lord, how can I lead us further into this light? What must we do to fully embrace this healing? He felt the pages whisper truths he had long been forgetting: the simplicity of love, the power of shared prayers, and the miracle that indeed comes from believing together. The next day, he reached out to the villagers, inviting them once more to join in a circle of healing. This time, he sensed an undercurrent of hope, a bubbling enthusiasm that danced in the air. When they reconvened, Thomas noticed the change. Their faces showed eagerness and determination where doubt had lingered before. As they gathered in a circle, he addressed their hearts. Can you feel it? The presence of God is not just to be acknowledged, it's meant to be embraced. Together, we wield the power of love. Together, we shall heal. His words resonated deeply, igniting flickers of understanding that raced amongst them. Then came the stories, each one deeper, richer, unfolding like petals in bloom. This time, it was Emily who spoke of her struggles with depression, her voice trembling but resolute. I've walked in darkness, but I believe this light can carry me through, she shared. As her truth left her lips, Thomas noted the shift. Others leaned forward, drawn into her courage, their hearts striving to connect. Thomas encouraged them to join hands, closing their eyes to block out the noise of the world beyond. Let us silently lift each other in prayer. Picture healing light flowing from one to another. Imagine the burdens lifted, the wounds stitched by divine love. In that moment, a stillness enveloped the room, thick and palpable. A gentle breeze stirred, rustling the leaves outside, yet inside, they experienced an intimate calm. Thomas's heart raced as he felt the collective spirit unify, a sacred bond deepen. He sensed whispers of encouragement rising, carrying the prayers of those around him. Jonah then gasped softly, breaking the silence. It's so warm I can feel everyone. The love is like a blanket. His words rang true, igniting a chorus of shared experiences. Joyous laughter mingled with tears, and Thomas felt an overwhelming pulse of gratitude. It seeped into every corner of the room, knitting them together like an intricate tapestry. But as the healing flowed, Thomas's mind lingered on a question. What would come of their newfound unity in faith? Was this only the beginning? He ventured bravely, can we extend this light beyond our circle? What if we reach out to those who still suffer in silence? What if our love spills into the streets? The murmurs of agreement affirmed his thoughts, yet an uncertainty hovered, wondering how vast their mission could truly be. Eager hearts and determined spirits encircled him. They were ready to take steps into the unknown, to touch those still yearning for solace. The room vibrated with potential, each soul brimming with anticipation for what lay ahead. Together they would step into the world, guided by divine love, ready to shine brightly. Little did they know, their journey would soon reveal unforeseen challenges and blessings that would test their faith like never before. What awaited them as they embraced this calling? The villagers gathered with a new sense of purpose, spirits alight with hope as they prepared to embark on their mission. Thomas took a moment to center himself, looking at the faces around him. Each one held a story, a light waiting to shine. Together, he declared, we will take this love into the world. We will not walk alone. They decided to start small, visiting the local care home, a place shadowed by weariness and silence. Thomas felt a surge of excitement and nerves intertwining. The care home was a realm he had seldom entered, its worn halls filled with many whose hearts ached for connection. Would they be met with openness? Would their light be embraced? As they approached the door, Thomas offered a prayer. Lord, grant us courage to sow seeds of love where they are needed most. The group nodded, closing their eyes in solidarity, the warmth of their shared intention rippling through them like a sacred wave. Upon entering, they were met by gentle smiles and weary eyes. Thomas felt the gravity of the space, the feelings of isolation and longing that filled every corner. Good afternoon, everyone, he greeted, his voice brightening the dim room. We are here to share joy and healing. Would you join us in some songs and stories? A few residents shifted in their chairs, intrigued by the enthusiasm radiating from the visitors. A woman with silver hair, Mrs. Hargrove, spoke up softly. What is it you have to offer us? Love, Thomas replied earnestly. We bring love and music to lift your spirits. We hope to remind you that you are not alone. As he spoke, he sensed the atmosphere begin to shift. Uncertainty lingered, but curiosity sparkled in the air. The villagers transitioned into song, voices softly blending an echo of harmony and hope that began to seep into the very walls of the home. The music felt like a gift, stirring something deep within the residents. To Thomas's delight, Mrs. Hargrove's eyes sparkled with memories. The others began to hum along, their faces lighting up as they remembered the melodies of their youth. After the songs, Thomas invited them to share their stories, the good ones, the ones that still held joy. One elderly gentleman with a twinkle in his eye spoke of his younger days, dancing under starlit skies. Oh, the love we shared! He reminisced, his voice laden with warmth. As they shared, something miraculous began to happen. The energy in the room shifted. The heaviness that once sat in the air lifted, replaced by laughter and connection. The villagers circled around, lending ears and hearts to the tales that unfolded, witnessing the power of acknowledgement. Yet, amidst this moment of joy, Thomas felt the weight of another question resting upon him. What about those who still wait in silence? He pondered. How many more lives could be touched? What would happen if we ventured further? As he gazed upon the faces of those around him, he realized that they were not merely sharing a moment, they were building bridges. This love they cultivated would flow beyond the care home, into the streets, and into lives unfamiliar and untouched. Yet still, as they left, an inexplicable tension tinged the air, a silent revelation waiting to unveil itself. The world beyond appeared vast and promising, yet filled with uncertainties. What trials awaited them? What deeper truths would emerge from their collective journey? Thomas clasped his hands, looking back at the group. Are we ready to dive deeper into this mystery? He asked, igniting a flicker of anticipation. The answer lay not just in their hearts but in the world beyond, ready to embrace a light that they had only begun to discover. Little did they know, their venture was only the beginning, and the true essence of their calling was waiting to be revealed. As the villagers left the care home, a new sense of purpose surged within Thomas. They had not only sung songs but had ignited a spark of hope in many hearts. Yet, the thought lingered, there were so many more to reach. He felt a whisper of inspiration urging him onward, a gentle pull toward a greater calling. Where to next? Asked Sarah, a bright-eyed mother from the village, her voice full of eagerness. I felt something beautiful today. I think we should visit the hospital, Thomas replied, surprising even himself. So many there might need encouragement, healing, a reminder that love still exists. The group murmured in agreement, excitement mingling with trepidation. Hospitals were places of pain and suffering, yet also of miraculous recoveries. The challenge felt daunting, but Thomas was drawn to it like a moth to a flame. He could already sense the divine opportunities waiting for them there. As they walked, the sun began to set, painting the sky gold and crimson. It was a reminder of the beauty that often emerges from darkness. Let us pray together before we go in, Thomas suggested, and the villagers formed a tight circle, heads bowed. Lord, walk with us into this place of healing, he prayed, his voice steady. Help us shine your light where shadows linger. A warm breeze brushed past them, as if the heavens were whispering their approval. Together, they stepped into the hospital, the scent of antiseptic mingling with the faint aroma of flowers. The halls echoed with soft beeping machines and quiet footsteps. Thomas felt the weight of the collective suffering, it bore down like a heavy quilt. But it was not without hope. The nurses smiled, grateful for the warmth that seemed to accompany the group. They wandered into a ward filled with patients. Some were old, some young, all marked by their struggles. Thomas's heart ached for them. We are here to share love, he began softly. Maybe some stories and songs would lift your spirits? A weary man shifted in his bed, looking curiously at the newcomers. Do you think it will help? He asked, his voice hoarse. Just let us try, Thomas replied, stepping forward. He felt the weight of every word. This was more than singing, it was a call for connection, a chance for empathy. They began to sing a simple, calming melody. The haunting sound floated through the room, wrapping around weary souls like a soft embrace. One by one, heads lifted, smiles flickered in the dim light. Thomas could see the walls of isolation begin to crack. Eyes that once appeared vacant now glistened, laughter bubbled like hidden spring water. The villagers shared stories too. A nurse joined in, recounting her tales of small triumphs, a child who beat the odds, a mother reunited with her family. Each story fanned the flames of hope higher, yet, as the energy in the room surged, something deeper was stirring within Thomas. He felt questions rising alongside the joy. What if we could do more? What if this healing wasn't just for today but opened doors to long-term changes? A woman sitting nearby, her gaze weighted with years of struggle, caught his eye. It's good to hear laughter, she said quietly, tears glistening on her cheeks. But what about the silence that follows when everyone leaves? In that moment, Thomas sensed the divine grace at work. Love was easy to share and joy, but the real challenge lay in the silences that haunted so many lives. We need to keep coming back, he promised, to show them they are never alone. With that, a powerful revelation swept through him, a divine plan unfurling like wings. This could be more than a series of visits. They could become a beacon, shining light into places that needed it most. His heart raced as excitement filled the air, but also dread lingered at the edges. What will this reveal? Thomas whispered to himself. What new paths would open as they followed this calling? With hope blooming inside him like wildflowers, he gathered everyone close. Today is just the beginning. Are we ready to step into the unknown? The air crackled with energy, anticipation building as they looked toward what lay ahead. The village was about to change, but how much more would it transform as they let love lead the way? What revelations awaited in this journey toward miraculous healing? The morning light filtered softly through the hospital windows, casting gentle shadows on the floor. Thomas arrived with the villagers, their hearts still ignited from the night before. They had gathered again, but this time, the atmosphere felt electric with purpose. Thomas wore a serene smile as they entered the ward, each familiar face greeting them with hopeful eyes. The murmur of quiet conversations filled the air, a comforting reminder of resilience in the presence of struggle. Today, we share not just hope, but friendship, Thomas said, glancing around the room. Let us make this a place where burdens can be shared, where love can flow freely. Sarah stepped forward, her voice warm like the morning sun. What if we create a connection? A sort of family among us all? There was a consensus in the room, nods and murmurs from villagers and patients alike, a true reflection of the desire for belonging. The villagers began arranging chairs, creating a circle, a shape of unity. Thomas's heart swelled at the sight. As they gathered, he suggested, let us take turns sharing what inspires us. What keeps our spirits alive? An elderly woman named Margaret spoke first, her voice trembling yet clear. I remember my garden, she smiled, her eyes gleaming. Even in winter, with the frost biting at my flowers, I do remember the seasons change. Spring always returns. Her words led to a ripple of laughter and encouragement, and others began to share their own stories. Each story stitched the fabric of this gathering tighter, weaving threads of hope and faith. A young man shared his dream of opening a bakery, filling his heart with sweetness amidst his current struggles. Another talked of his grandchildren, their laughter a cherished melody. With every voice, the shadows lightened, and something profound seemed to pulse in the air, love blossoming like wildflowers in springtime. As they listened, Thomas felt a gentle nudge from the Spirit. "What happens when we pray together?" he asked, sensing an invitation to deepen their connection. The room grew quiet, anticipation hanging delicately like the morning fog. "Let us pray for one another," Sarah suggested. Hands reached out instinctively, offering warmth, compassion, and a sense of community. Thomas guided them into prayer, each word a thread guiding the crowd toward the divine. "Lord, let your healing presence be felt here," he prayed, voice low yet resonant. "Fill this room with your light, and remind us that together, we can bear one another's burdens." As they prayed, a peaceful energy enveloped them, warming their hearts and lifting their spirits. Thomas caught sight of tears flowing freely. They weren't tears of sorrow but of release, of healing happening in real time. The depths of despair and isolation were being washed away, layer by layer. The woman from earlier, whose haunted gaze had struck Thomas deeply, looked up, awe written across her features. "I feel lighter," she whispered, a cautious smile breaking through. "Like a weight has been lifted." Days turned into weeks as they returned to the hospital, each time more joyful and spirited than before. New friendships were forged, laughter resonated like music, and the initial doubts and fears of each gathering faded into memories. But amid this flourishing connection, Thomas couldn't shake a feeling of restless urgency. What exactly was God crafting from these encounters? Could it extend beyond the hospital? What if the same light they nurtured there could spill into the village, impacting every heart? As the villagers prepared for their next visit, a new realization hung at the forefront of Thomas's mind. "There is a mission waiting for us," he quietly declared, glancing across the circle. "Beyond these hospital walls lies a community longing for hope." The spirit of anticipation surged around him, charging the atmosphere with possibility. Are we ready to step even deeper into this calling? And with those words, the path widened, revealing the unknown, an invitation to transcend their perception of ministry and embrace a vision larger than themselves. What transformative journey awaited beyond their cherished hospital visits? As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm orange glow, the villagers gathered once more. There was a contagious energy among them, reflective of the change growing in their hearts. Each person felt it, a pull toward something grander, softer, yet stronger than the struggles that had long weighed them down. Thomas stood at the center of the circle they had formed in the community hall. "Tonight," he began, his voice steady and infused with purpose, "we gather not only to uplift one another but to reach out in love to the world beyond these walls." His words hung in the air, and he sensed their collective yearning. The conversations that had blossomed in the hospital now needed to extend outward. He could see the flicker of excitement in his neighbor's eyes, a mutual understanding that they were being asked to be vessels of the light they had found together. "Let us pray," he said, his tone shifting to one of reverence. They bowed their heads, the weight of their hopes like a gentle blanket wrapped around them. "Lord, send us forth as instruments of your peace, that we may bring comfort to those yearning for hope. Allow us to shine our light in the corners of the world that feel dark." As they prayed together, Thomas felt the warmth grow in their hearts, a divine alchemy of shared intentions transforming their gathering into a beacon. The Spirit was palpable, a wave of warmth washing over them, igniting their souls. After a moment of silence, a soft voice broke through the stillness. It was Lily, a quiet woman known to keep to herself. Her eyes shimmering with newfound courage, she shared, "I never thought my voice mattered, but I want to speak for those who feel unheard." Her words reverberated through the gathering. They were a call to action, a sacred trust entrusted to each of them. Nods of agreement rippled through the circle, affirming the stirring within each heart. "Let us invite more villagers to join us," Sarah chimed in, her blue eyes bright. "We can host a gathering in the village square. A night of stories, music, and prayer. Let them feel this love." Her suggestion was met with enthusiastic applause and exclamations of yes. "And let us do it." With newfound vigor, they began to plan. Ideas flowed as freely as the laughter that echoed through the hall. Each villager contributed thoughts on how to reach even the most isolated in their community. Their energy ignited a transformational fire within, lighting pathways that felt previously hidden. That evening became a tapestry of dreams woven from the threads of their collective hope. They discussed inviting musicians, organizing food, and even crafting warm blankets to offer. It was an act of love that would extend beyond their immediate circle, a reminder that every person, even those facing hard battles, had a place in this blossoming family. As they wrapped up their meeting, Thomas felt a nudge within, a whisper from the spirit that sent shivers of excitement down his spine. He turned to his friends, their eyes shining bright with anticipation. "God has prepared us for this. Great things await us," he said, feeling the weight of his words settle deeply within as he spoke. But as their jovial laughter filled the hall, a shadow lingered in his thoughts. What obstacles might come their way, and how would they face them together? With every step forward, there felt to be an unfolding mission, yet a quiet dread tugged at his heart. "Let us keep our hearts open," he gently warned. "For the road may not always be easy, but our faith will carry us forward." As they dispersed into the night, an electric charge hovered in the air, an unspoken promise of transformation waiting just beyond the horizon. What trials awaited them as they stepped into the light? And would their love triumph against the unseen challenges that lurked, ready to test their resolve? The following evening, the village square came alive with excitement. Twinkling lights hung from the old oak tree, creating an enchanting atmosphere. The scent of freshly baked bread wafted through the air, welcoming anyone who drew near. Villagers arrived in droves, eager to celebrate love and connection. As the night unfolded its story, Thomas stood at the entrance, his heart racing with anticipation. He watched the faces of his friends, their spirits elevated as they embraced this moment of unity. A small stage had been set up, adorned with colorful fabrics and candles that flickered like stars. He couldn't help but smile. This gathering was not just an event but a testament to their faith, a living prayer. Lily was the first to take the stage, and the crowd fell silent, the air thick with expectation. "I have always been quiet, afraid my words wouldn't resonate," she began, her voice steadier than he had ever heard. "But we are stronger together. Our stories matter." She spoke of her own struggles, her journey of discovering her voice. Each word wove a thread of connection, binding hearts and unearthing shared fears. Her courage sparked an awakening among the crowd. One by one, villagers stood up, sharing their own stories of hardship and hope. There was a man with trembling hands who spoke about the loneliness he felt, a mother who had lost her child and found solace in the community, and a young boy who sang a hauntingly beautiful song that echoed dreams of a brighter future. The soft cadence of their words painted a picture of resilience, raw, beautiful, and real. As night deepened, local musicians joined in, filling the square with melodies that wrapped around the gathering like a warm embrace. The sound of laughter and music drifted out into the night, beckoning those still in their homes. Hearts were stirred, and many stepped out to join this unexpected celebration of love. Yet amidst the laughter, Thomas felt a stirring within him. Questions swirled in his mind. How long could this magic last? He looked at the joy spreading like wildfire, yet he couldn't shake off the worry in his heart. What if the trials they had anticipated were nearing? They had embraced hope, but how prepared were they for the heavy burdens still looming in the shadows? Suddenly, he noticed a figure lingering at the edge of the crowd. It was an elderly woman he had seen before, often sitting alone on her porch, with deep lines carved into her face telling tales of loss and hardship. She appeared hesitant, as if the warmth of the gathering was both inviting and daunting. Thomas felt a push, a whisper from the spirit urging him to cross the divide between her solitude and their shared joy. With a few quick strides, he approached her, extending his hand. "Would you like to join us?" he asked softly. Her eyes sparkled with surprise before a smile broke across her weathered face, and she took his hand. As he led her into the heart of the gathering, Thomas felt something shift. The very air felt charged with anticipation, as if each person was about to witness a miracle. The elderly woman allowed herself to be enveloped in love, the barriers she had built slowly crumbling as they entered the warmth of community. At that moment, Thomas realized the depths of their mission. It wasn't just to share joy but to be conduits of hope and love for the isolated and forgotten. Yet, as the music swelled and the stories filled the night, he felt another twinge of foreboding. What challenges awaited them? Would this gathering elevate them into new realms of faith, or would darkness try to creep in? In one harmonious heartbeat, he whispered a silent prayer, "Lord, prepare us for the journey ahead." As he joined the thrumming crowd, another question echoed through his heart. Could they truly unite their strengths to rise above the trials that lay ahead? The night stretched on, filled with life and laughter, but the murmurs of the future loomed nearby. What would the next chapter hold for them in this unfolding story of faith? The sun broke through the horizon, spilling golden light over Ashford. Thomas awoke with an unmistakable sense of purpose, a fire igniting deep within him. The night of connection in the village square continued to resonate, lingering in the air like the last notes of a beloved song. Their gathering had lit a spark of community, but now, the journey leaned on him more than ever. As he prepared for the day, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the brink of something monumental. "Lord," he prayed, "what is it you want from us next?" Each morning felt like a sacred whisper, a gentle reminder that they were not just a group in search of healing, but a vessel waiting to be filled. Word spread quickly through the village about the last gathering, and it brought people flocking like moths to a flame. Faces they hadn't seen in a while appeared at the church, eyes full of curiosity and longing. They sought hope, connection, and most importantly, the warmth of fellowship. That evening, Thomas stood before a crowd larger than he'd ever imagined. His heart raced with excitement and a sprinkle of trepidation, for he understood that this was not just an event but a powerful moment of divine invitation. "Tonight," he began, his voice steady, "we're here to continue what God has started among us. This love isn't just meant for us here but to overflow into every corner of Ashford and beyond." The crowd responded with bursts of hopeful murmurs, their spirits alight with anticipation. As Thomas shared stories from the previous gathering, his heart swelled with gratitude. Each testimony became a thread weaving them closer, a reminder that they were no longer alone in their struggles. Then came moments that took their breath away. A woman stepped forth, her hands trembling as she shared the story of her son lost to tragedy. Her words dripped with pain and heartache, yet as she spoke, a light flickered behind her eyes. "But I did not come here to dwell in sorrow. I came to share in love, and to remember that together, we can rise above." Thomas watched in awe as the villagers encircled her, arms wide open, offering not just support but a collective shoulder to lean on. Each of them took turns emphasizing the truth, the power in shared grief and collective hope. It brought them closer, cemented in a bond that could not falter. As the evening deepened, laughter filled the air. Old hymns blended with new melodies, hearts beat together like the drums of a new day dawning. It was clear, they were building something beautiful. With every kind word and nod of encouragement, they formed a tapestry vibrant and alive. Yet as joy swirled, a voice within Thomas stirred questions. What next? How far does this love reach? He turned to his companions, sensing their collective eagerness as well. Are we ready to show this community how powerful divine love can truly be? The nods of agreement flooded in, matching the rhythm of his heart. "I propose we extend our hands beyond this village," he declared, eyes sparkling. "Shall we visit the neighboring towns, seek out those who feel unseen, and share this love?" The energy surged as villagers cheered, their hearts propelling toward the horizon of possibility. Weeks turned into months, and with each town they visited, the spirit of the movement grew to spread the blooming seed of hope and prayer. They sang, shared stories, and held hands, creating bonds everywhere they went. But then came a night of quiet uncertainty, heavy with unspoken truths. Thomas stood under the vast expanse of stars, feeling the weight on his shoulders. What if we can't sustain this momentum? What if we face rejection? But amidst his doubts, a strong sense of peace washed over him. In that stillness, he heard a quiet reassurance, "Have faith, Thomas." It was a reminder that perfect love casts out fear. If they stayed aligned with their divine purpose, faith would lead the way even through uncertainties. The next gathering arrived. This time, they invited people from across the region to come together once more. Each villager brought friends, creating a wave of love that washed through the village. They set the stage under the oak tree once again, preparing to share stories that transformed lives, healed hearts, and invited every soul into the embrace of God's love. As the moon illuminated their gathering, Thomas looked out over the sea of faces, men and women from all walks of life, laughter and tears merging into the collective spirit of love. He could feel the warmth of connection wrapping around them, the sacred threads of unity spun together. "This is our mission," he declared, and the crowd erupted in applause. In that moment, he understood deeply their journey wasn't merely about healing physical pain or emotional loss, it was a call to recognize the divine presence in every heart and every breath. Together, they were creating a movement, a testament to the power of faith. As the final notes of the gathering faded into the night, Thomas felt overwhelmed, sensing the collective ripple of love expanding outwards. They were sowing seeds that would blossom into something beautiful and enduring. This love, this shared mission, was the beginning of a metamorphosis, not only for Ashford but for all who crossed their path. "Shall we go further?" he asked, hope glimmering in his voice. His question echoed through the crowd like the gentle call of the Spirit inviting all to join in an unfolding journey, a journey of faith, perseverance, and transformation. As the villagers dispersed into the night, carrying the light within them, Thomas smiled. Here, in his heart, he knew they had begun to change the world, one act of love at a time. This was only the beginning. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support truly makes a difference. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.